character and his impeccable integrity. Oh, sure, he had special skills, such a gifted teacher and coach, but I think his character, which has been on display in so many different ways over the years, has been such an impetus to the kind of legendary success that we will celebrate and always remember. I know that through that time and winning a national championship just 2 short years later, the renaissance that has occurred in our athletics program, not just in football, but his success has defined our ability to put others in a position to be successful. And I don't think it's a stretch whatsoever to think of the success like we've talked about just in the last 24 hours and what has occurred over not just this year but the last several years in other sports that we sponsor. The championships, the record academic success, the facility revolution that's taken place in our campus that supports all sports. Think back to what Coach Stoops, his staff, and our student athletes have done for our university. And I can say on a personal note how much I appreciate as a leader being able to be part of a vision, to work to make a vision happen, and to know that you had Coach Stoops and all the other people, many, many others. I also think of other words that can define him. Certainly over 18 years, it's rare, as President Bourne mentioned, to have the president, an AD, and a coach in the same place. We sort of joked a few years ago that while the so-called Bowl Championship Series era was coming to a close, the BCS era would not necessarily quite be extinct because we were still lucky to have Bourne, Castiglione, and Stoops at the University of Oklahoma. I think, too, that when you go through such an opportunity to be at an incredible place like the University of Oklahoma, to embrace the expectations that our program has, that we have for the program itself. There's so much that people see, and there's much more that you don't. And to have a personal, professional type relationship with an AD and a coach, and of course with our president, where we can have the deepest, most profound conversations, to think boldly about whatever the future may be, may hold, or what we need to do to make it possible, and to emerge consistently with unanimity about what we're going to do is incredible. And so I think about trust as being one of the most important components of the glue that have helped us work together on behalf of so many people to help create success at the University of Oklahoma. And then another thing that a word I would use to define Coach Stoops and his leadership style is selflessness. And if you remember back on the steps of Evans Hall that day, you got the first words out of his mouth that said, and when we have success, it would not be because of him. It would be because of the collective efforts of everyone else. Now, I will tell you that a lot of our success has definitely been related to him. And even in that selfless, deflect the credit style that he has, he needs to be celebrated and recognized for the Hall of Fame coach that he is, and certainly will become, when the vote gets taken, first ballot. But I think his leadership style, constantly focusing on what was best for his players. Players first, all the time. His coaching staff, their families, the intentional efforts to keep people close to the program. You know what it is, you've written about it many, many times. Those things lead to such a quality of life that is rare and certainly special, but existing here at the University of Oklahoma. And I think part of the reason why we've been able to keep Coach Stoops here in Oklahoma for such a long period of time. And so on behalf of my wife, Krista, and our family, our staff, countless people that have been able to work with Coach Stoops through those years, we certainly are grateful we'll get a chance to continue to work with him now in a different role. But to Bob, to Carol, to Mackie, to Isaac, to Drake, thank you. We've had so many emotional moments together, but you, as people that have inspired us and many others to excellence and greatness, will never be forgotten. And we appreciate you. We'll have more time to have retrospective looks back in Coach Stoops' history to, again, recognize the special players, those achievements, and that'll be a lot, as we have a lot of ideas in store. And again, I think we have to reference the rare continuity and consistency of success that we've had that allows us to make a very special transition. I personally had a chance to meet Lincoln Riley, I think it might have been 8 years ago. He was in his mid-20s, already in a full-time coaching position, already having a lot of responsibility. I didn't know that we would ever have a chance to work together, but had that moment where we got to talk, and as any AD does, files that information away, never know when it's going to be called on, if ever. And then sort of, because we have a lot of mutual colleagues in the profession, was able to kind of keep up with him. And then when Coach Stoops was in the position to go hire a new offensive coordinator and mentioned Coach Riley, it wasn't hard for me to get in lockstep, because I knew the person he was, the experiences that he had at such a young age, the responsibility that had been placed in his hands, and what kind of success he has done when that responsibility was placed in his hands. And so we've been very fortunate to have him here in these 2 years. And although we didn't quite script this, exactly how it has happened, I'd have to be totally honest with you that it crossed our minds that we might be looking at one of the true special rising stars that could be a head coach in very short term. And so here we are, with this this type of opportunity in front of us, and obviously with the conversations that Coach Stoops and I have had over a short period of time, but certainly over the time that Coach Riley has been here, and then of course with President Bourne, we could not be more fortunate to be in a position to continue that continuity, to use all the momentum that we have to our advantage, to recognize that we have truly somebody who is wiser in years than his chronological age would ever dictate. And now we're in a position to welcome him. But we'll do that in a minute. And first, though, I want to now recognize and call to the podium the person that has made it possible for us to see Oklahoma's true DNA, to see the true spirit of Oklahoma and Oklahoma football, what it means, truly means to the psyche of this state and those that love this university, to put us in a position to not only dream about being at the very top, but to get there and celebrate, and then recoil and have the excitement of get in a position to go do it again and again. And as I said, Coach, I'll remember, like everybody, all your accomplishments, but more than anything, I will remember you for the man you are and for the family that you have built. We appreciate you, we love you, and we want to celebrate you. And you come to the microphone now and